Hi and welcome back. So we've just shown you how to use the standard properties in Umbraco, but now we're going to move on to how you edit the main content of each page. So this is nearly always done via the Content tab. Now the different fields you'll see here depend on the page type. So for instance, an event page may have slightly different fields than say an article or a news page, but the basics are the same across all pages. What you'll find is that nearly all pages will have something called a heading, which is the main heading shown at the top of the page. By default, this will be the same as the page name, so the page name is what you gave it here, as you can see here. So if you wish to edit the page name, you can do. But you can also override this and give it a longer title. So for instance, let's call this my long heading. Now many pages can also have a subheading, which is like a secondary heading, which is shown underneath the main heading. So just to show you that, and often pages can have some introductory text. So let's just give this a little bit of introductory text here. Okay, so we've added that. Now, what we can also show you now is a couple of the features of how you actually view your pages in Umbraco when you're creating them. So what you can do is actually save the page, so this will save all your changes but it won't publish it, and then you can preview using this icon. So if we preview the page, we should be able to see. So there we go. So we can see the heading we've given the page, the subheading and the introductory text. Now what we're going to go on to the next is the main area of content, which is often called main content. Now this uses something called the RichTextEditor in Umbraco. Now the RichTextEditor is really something you may be familiar with from using things like Word. It's basically a kind of scaled down word processor. So this allows you to add styles to your documents, different headings, create bulleted lists, insert images, etc. So when you're in the RichTextEditor, you'll notice that these icons here at the top of the page light up. So you've got your standard save, publish and preview icons, but you'll also see some new icons here. And these are really old formatting ones. So to get us started, we'll take some text. Now I'm just going to grab some from another website that just generates random lorem ipsum text. And I'm going to paste that in. You can paste in text in Umbraco by using the standard Windows keys, which are Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. A little tip for you: if you use Control-Shift-V, it will paste as plain text rather than keeping any formatting, which is often useful because you don't really want any formatting from other documents. Okay, so I've pasted in some text from that page. As you can see, you can do certain things to it. So for instance, if I want to format this, I can do so, create paragraphs and break it up. But you can also apply other things. So for instance, I can make this text bold. So generally when you want to do something, you highlight the text you want to do and then you click at the icon associated with it. So for instance, to make the text bold, I'll click that. To make it italic, I would do that. What we have in Umbraco also are some default styles. So we have the default paragraph style, which is the one that this is using. We also have options to create other styles. So for instance, we could use heading styles. So we can see we've got different types of heading: heading 2, heading 3 and the standard heading. Now these generally get bigger in scope. So if we choose the heading, you can see that the text has got larger. We also have what we call a lead paragraph style, which is often used. So if you choose that, you can say lead and it's applied that. It's similar to a heading style. As well as actually styling, you can do a few other things. So if you look through the icons on here, I'll just quickly guide you through. So the HTML one allows you to actually edit the HTML source of the page. So as you can see, here are some HTML tags. Generally this is not something you would do, but the option is there if you wish. This icon actually removes formatting, so if we highlight something that we've previously formatted and click there, it will remove that formatting. So in this case, it's removed the lead style. We could also, for instance, use it to remove the heading style. Okay, The other option we've got here is the undo. So this, when you click this, it actually undoes the previous action, and there's actually a history as well, so you can go through and you can also redo. You have other options for cut, copy and paste. But actually, it's easiest probably to do these just using the standard keyboard shortcuts. So if I want to cut some text, I can just use Control X. If you're using a Mac, I think you can use the Mac key. If I want to paste text, I can use Control V. And you can do this from not just within the editor, but from other documents too, as we've just seen. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, we can actually apply different formatting styles. So by default, everything will be left aligned. So you can see here, text is left aligned, which is the default, but you can also center align it, which is not something you normally do, but you can right align it, again, not something you normally do. And you can actually justify it to both sides. So you can see now that both the left and right hand sides are equal. Obviously justification doesn't always work when you've got a very short paragraph, because it looks wrong to drag that out. Let's put that back. You can also do other things. For instance, you can create a list of bullet points. So you can also create number bullets instead. As you can see, the numbers automatically increase every time I create an option. You can actually convert one to the other. So for instance, if you have a number list but you decide you want it to be bullet points, you just click the bullet icon and that will then change that, and you can see the two come together. Again, we can always save and preview to actually see what we've done. So as you can see, here's my list. You can see the formatting we've previously applied. So other things you may wish to do in a page are create a link. So a link can either be to a local document or it can be to a remote URL. So let's create a link. Okay, so the first thing we want to do with a link is decide what text we'd like to link. So you need to already have some text. So let's say we want to link this piece of text to a page. So what you do is you highlight the text, click the link icon, and this will bring up this dialog. Now this dialog really allows you to do two things. It either allows you to link to something within your website or something external to your website. So for instance, if you wish to link to a page within your website, then you should always use this dialog. This will allow you to select that page. The reason you want to use this dialog is because this makes sure that even if the page is updated or renamed, the link will still work. So if we wanted to link to the services page, we'll simply select it from the tree here and then click insert, and that will generate the link. Now you can also remove links by highlighting it and clicking the unlink. As you can see, the link is now being removed. But there's also different types of link we can create. So as you saw, you can create a page, but you can also select something from the media library. Now the media library generally consists of files and images. So for instance, if you wish to link to a file, you can find the file here. So for instance, we've got a PDF document, and you click insert, and that will then produce a link to that PDF document. You can also edit a link we've already created and change it. Now, if I don't want to link to a page within our website, I can actually just enter the full URL of the page I want to link to. So for instance, say I wanted to link to Google, I'll have to put in the full URL, that means including the HTTP. And that will create the link to Google. You can optionally create a title, which is the tooltip shown when the mouse hovers over it. And you have the option of whether to open the window in the same window or within a new window. Okay, so let's say open it in a new window. Now if we save and preview, you can see we've created our link. It shows us the tooltip, and when we click it, it opens Google in a new window. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, as well as standard links, you can also create what are called anchors. Now, anchors allow you to link to an area of the same page you're in. To show you this, I'll create an anchor point here. So this is where we want to anchor down to. Rather like creating a link, you highlight the text and then click the anchor symbol. You give each anchor a unique name. Now this shouldn't contain any spaces, so we'll just call this anchor 1 and insert. So okay, now you've done that, what you want to do now is actually link to that anchor point. So what you can do is create some text like you would create a link normally. But this time you can choose the anchor point from this list. So this will actually show you all the anchor points you've created. As you can see, this creates anchor 1. Now this means when I click that link, it will actually anchor down to that point. So if we save and preview, you can see this in action. Okay, so here's my anchor. As you can see, it's anchored down to the anchor point. Okay, so we've created anchors now. What else can we do? Well, we can insert images. Now to do this, we use this icon. Now this allows us to either insert a new image or one from the media library. Generally, you would upload your images to the media library and then choose them here, but you also have the option of creating a new image. But what we'll do is we'll use one we've already created. So if I look in my demo images folder, I'll just find an image we can use. So here we have a nice kitten picture, which is always great. And to do that, you simply insert media there, and you see the image will appear within your document just as it would. Now what you can do is you can actually resize the image. So if you select the image, you'll see these resize handlers. Now if you resize the image using the corner tab, it'll actually keep the aspect ratio the same, so it won't distort it. And the good thing is when you resize an image, it actually generates a new version of that image at the size you resize, so it's actually quite efficient to do this. Again, we can save and publish, and we can see there our image has been inserted. Now of course you can also remove the image, so you want to remove the image, we simply highlight it, and I find the easiest way to remove it is simply click the delete button, and that just deletes it. One other option you have is something we call inserting macros. Now macros are really pre-created snippets of functionality that we've already created for you. A good example of a macro is something called a block quote. So for instance, if you want to insert a quotation, you do so using the block quote macro. As you can see, each macro will have its own special properties. So for a block quote, you want to type in the actual quotation and the author of the quote. So I'll type in some quotation text here. The name of the author, which in this case is me. And you can see it will create this kind of icon which shows you that a macro content. Now macro content you don't actually see within the RichTextEditor, but you can actually save and preview to see that content. So here we go, here's the quote we did by me, and you can see it's being formatted as a quotation. If you wish to edit a macro you've already created before, then simply click into it and then click that, and you can see you can edit the properties there. Deleting a macro can be a little bit tricky, but basically the best way to do it is put your cursor just outside the macro, and then you can then just delete it there. One other option you can do is insert video. So if you use this option, this will actually embed third-party video. So this is not actually video you've uploaded to the site, rather you can upload it from a third-party website. So quickly I'm going to show you how to do this. So if we go to YouTube,